Alright guys, welcome back to another tips video. This is the round 10 tips for 2026. It's the third Indigenous round. And yep, let's start off with Brisbane and Geelong. Last time they played each other was the 2025 Grand Final. That was when Snoop Dogg played. And yeah, so last week Brisbane defeated Carlton and yep, no up by 50 points, and only won by 2 goals. And Geelong ruined Pendles' 432nd game as they win another one. And yep, let's have a look what happened last week with Brisbane. Logan Morris kicked 4, Lachie Neale had 33 disposals and 124 AFL Fantasy, and Josh Dunkley had 9 tackles. And the Cats, Ollie Henry kicked 4, and Bazza had 40 disposals and 127 AFL Fantasy. So yep, anyways, maybe we should tip Brisbane for this game by, to kickstart the Indigenous round, by, you reckon 21 points? I'd go for. And yeah, moving on. Sydney and Collingwood. Last time they played each other was Gather Round last year. Swans are 8-1, Pies are 4-1. Pendles' 432nd game was crushed by Geelong. Swans only just defeated North. I mean, North came close after we saw Melbourne, but Heaney kicked 3, Logan McDonald kicked 3, Hayden McLean kicked 3. And yeah, Collingwood, Bo McCreary had 6 tackles. The Swans are better than Collingwood at the moment, so Sydney by maybe another close one, maybe 8 points. Yeah, they're always in the state, just like against Melbourne and North. But yeah, anyways, moving on. Gold Coast and Port. Port are 3-6, losing a close one to the Bulldogs, and Suns are 6-3. Continue on their TO Stadium streak. And last time they played each other, Suns were fighting for finals. Their first ever final back then, and yeah, Paul won that. That was Ken Hinkley's last game as a power coach, and Suns' only wins against Paul was, I reckon, 2024 and 2011. Only 2 wins, by the way, but Gold Coast over Paul. But yeah, let's have a look at what the Suns did. John Oval had 135 AFL Fantasy and 31 disposals. Took Miller, no one listed at 31 disposals as well. And Ben King kicked 4. And Port, Georgiades kicked 4. But Gold Coast are continuing on their Darwin streak, so they will be winning by 37 points. And yep, let's go and move on to Super Saturday. Starting off, Adelaide v North. Now, Crows are 5-4, North are 4-5. Yeah, what's North done after round 6? All of these head-to-head matchups, it's mostly Adelaide. But yeah, Wayne Miller had 34 disposals and Isaac Rankin had 162 AFL Fantasy and 9 tackles. And North, I couldn't quite get the job done against Sydney, but Davey Zuniak had 34 disposals and Harry Sheasel had 127 AFL Fantasy and 7 tackles. But anyways, Crows are a bit better now. It's not looking good for North, but Adelaide by 27 points. And yeah, moving on D's and Hawks. So I'm going to talk about Melbourne here, but they're 6-3, whereas Hawks are 6-2-1. Hawks couldn't beat Freo, but they're up by 4 points with like 5 minutes to go. Last time they played each other was when Gunston kicked 7, and before that was when Hawks broke their losing streak against Melbourne. And yeah, Van Rooyen kicked 5 and Ed Langdon had 114 AFL Fantasy. Minis Wakefield finally scored his first ever AFL goal after missing 2025 and played his first game since 2024. Heck, even Paddy Cross scored 3 goals, and I think it's going to avoid sanction over his high contact on West Coast's Jake Waterman. And yeah, for Hawthorn, Gunston kicked 6 and Amon had 31 disposals. Anyways, Hawks are going to win by 14 points. 30 something points last time, but it's going to be 14. It's not going to be in the same one, but anyways. Carlton and Bulldogs to wrap up Super Saturday. Carlton are 1-8, losing by 11 points. And yeah, last time we played each other was earlier last year. And yeah, it's been a long time since Carlton defeated Bulldogs. But Dogs finally won a game for the first time since Easter, defeating Port by 2 points. And yeah, they're 5-4, percentage of 92.4. And let's see what they did Friday night against Port. Riley Sanders had 31 disposals and the Bonds had 143 AFL Fantasy and 10 tackles. So, anyways, Bulldogs by maybe 45 points, I'd say. And yeah. Now we're moving on. Essendon and Fremantle in the first Sunday ticket game. Essendon led against the Giants for a while, but completely fell off after halfway through. And Freo came back against Hawthorn to win by 15 points. Last time Essendon and Freo played each other at the MCG, that was in the dying seconds when Durham kicked the winning point. That was 2024, and last year that was an easy win for Freo. And yeah, 1-8 to 8-1 for Essendon. Archie Roberts had 42 disposals and 157 FL Fantasy, and Archer May and Peter Wright kicked 3. And Freo in Wharfie time. Wick Jackson had 128 AFL Fantasy and 10 tackles. Anyways, Fremantle by maybe 29 points, I'd say. Yeah. Moving on. Saints and Richmond. They couldn't win without Wangane Miller, as they lost by 29. The 4-5 are Saints, and Richmond are still at the bottom for 1-8. Richmond lost by 37 to Adelaide, and yeah. Last time they played each other, that was round 22 last year. That was pretty sure that was Max Heath's last game at St Kilda before he was a demon, but yeah, that was a close one, a bit low scoring, but Richmond hasn't beaten St Kilda in 3 years, but yeah. Let's see what the Saints did. And yeah, Darcy Wilson kicked 4, and Sam Flanders and Jack Silvani also had 5 tackles. And yeah, Richmond. Tom Lynch kicked 3. Anyways, St Kilda by 56 points. And last game, Eagles and Giants. Giants are 4-5 and Eagles are 2-7. Last time they played each other was round 17 last year. It's been 3 in a row for the Giants against West Coast. And yeah, not much to talk about, but yeah. For the Eagles, they lost to the D's by 32 points, but Tom McCarthy had 30 disposals and Elio had 8 tackles. And yeah. Giants, on the other hand, Clary had 7 tackles, Toby Green and Jake Stringer kicked 3. So anyways, last game, Giants by, I'll go for 49 points. Yeah, these are our tips.